fastest human that existed. And welcome, Tim. I'm glad you're here.
Wow, what an induction. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here. Like you said, the restaurant and the food is fantastic. And the atmosphere is one to die for.
It is, isn't it? It's just absolutely great. Now, Tim, you've kind of become a Gator fan. Your daughter is at school there. Tell us about your daughter.
Yes, Tim Montgomery. She runs the 100 meters. She's a sophomore at UF. She went to Oak Hall High School. It's a different feeling when your kids follow your footsteps and you want to give them a piece of you. Or when you're at a race and it feels like your soul jumps into the race.
I love how you say that. Your soul jumps into the race.
You know, it's an unbelievable feeling. A feeling that you have to be present. You have to be a parent. And sometimes maybe fans are like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Fans are so obsessed with UF, NBA, their football team, their baseball team, that they actually are out there playing as they're playing, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so when I look up in the stands and people are fussing and fighting and everything, I was like, maybe that's that feeling.
Yeah, it just gets you moving. Now, you grew up in Gaffney, South Carolina. Where is Gaffney as compared to what the rest of the...
Okay, Gaffney, South Carolina is a small town.
Okay.
One high school, which is very different from the other cities that I have lived in. The one thing about having one high school, the pool of talent is in one place. It's not spread around the city.
Okay.
Gaffney, South Carolina is known for football. They have won over 15 state titles in South Carolina.
Wow.
The stadium is like a UF stadium. Everybody gives up to Friday Night Lights. Track was an unknown variable in South Carolina, in my city.
Mm-hmm.
I played football as a youth. Actually, I was the first ninth grader to be called up to varsity.
Wow. Wow. What position?
I played receiver, but I didn't have any weight on me. I was probably 119 pounds, running 4.3, 4.4 at the time.
Wow.
And I was breaking every bone on my body.
Those sudden stops,
Yes,
they
indeed.
sometimes hurt. The other thing is that a lot, you know, when somebody's running a 4.3 as a wide receiver in high school, it takes a special type of athlete at quarterback to be able to get the ball to that person. And if you don't have a great thrower of the ball, the 4.3 speed does nothing for you.
Absolutely correct.
You know, it's just...
You outrun the play.
Yeah, all right. You know, you're just too fast for your team.
Yes.
You know? So when did you decide track, and how did that come about? What was the, you know, the metamorphosis that you went to become a track star?
My father, he's a Purple Heart Vietnam. He believes in hard work, never going to the doctor, and no excuses. So as I was playing football, I kept coming home with a hurt ankle, a hurt wrist,
Whatever,
thumb.
right?
It would just hurt. And he was like, yo, these doctor bills are piling up. And I was like, and my body is in a lot of pain. And I was always kind of like fast in the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And I was in our junior highs is what we consider middle school now.
Mm-hmm.
We was down at junior high, and the high school was up at high school.
I got you.
Since they didn't have a middle school track team, one of the athletes had a Letterman jacket. And the Letterman jacket in high school was
Everything.
everything.
I remember those days, and they're 20 years before yours.
I mean, it was better than having a car. And to have your girlfriend wear your Letterman jacket around school
Yeah.
was everything, you
Yeah.
know? So one day I was walking down the halls, and this guy named Shannon Holden had a Letterman jacket. And I was like, whoa, how did you get that in your middle school? He said, well, since we don't have a track here, I run for the track team in high school.
Hmm.
Even though I played varsity high school, I couldn't get a letterman jacket because you got to play so many downs. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so he said, you got to get 14 points to get a jacket. First place is 7 points. So I was like, okay. He's like, I'm going to practice today. You want to come? And I was like, can I? And he was like, yeah. So I go out there and I have a pair of cut-off blue jean shorts on, some hand-me-down shoes. And I go out to the track coach, and the track coach look at me. He says, what do you need? And I said, I want to run track. He said, well, we're kind of like in the season right now, but are you fast? And I was like, yeah, I'm beating everybody in the neighborhood. And he was like, okay, we have events in track. You want to run the 400, you want to run the 200, you want to run the 100. And I was like, okay, well, how far is the 400? He said, 1 lap. I said, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how far is the 200? He said, half a lap. I said, okay. The 100, length of a football field. It was yards then.
Yeah.
So he said, I tell you what, go over there and get on the line with them guys right there. And so I go over there, and he's like, runners, take your mark. I never heard him commands in my life, okay? The one thing I did hear was when he shot this gun. And from my neighborhood, when you hear gunshot, you take off. Woo! Yes, indeed. You get down. Luckily, I didn't lay on the ground. I took off running. It was an out-of-body experience. I crossed the finish line, had my head down. I started to walk away. He was like, hey, Montgomery, come back here. I was like, what's going on? He said, you know what you just done? I said, no, not really. He said, you beat all my senior guys.
They didn't like that.
Not at all. Same
hey,
thing.
what's this kid doing out here?
Same thing in football. The locker room ran me out of there because I was the youngest one in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad, you know. So I ended up going to my first track meet. I ended up taking first. I ended up going to my second track meet. I ended up taking first.
That's 14 points in
That's
my mind.
14 points.
You got a letter jacket.
It's time to quit. So I go to him. I say, hey, when I get my jacket, he said, at the end of the year banquet. I was like, end of the year? I have more track meets of that. And I wasn't really into the track. I just wanted the Letterman jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, you ready to quit now? I said, I really came out here just for a Letterman jacket, you know. He was like, I tell you what, you are very talented. We got this kid that's never been beaten before. His name is Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis went to Auburn. He broke Bo Jackson rushing record.
Yeah,
he played for the Panthers.
Now.
Stephen Davis was a man-child. He scored 7 touchdowns against us in football. He was from Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is 30 minutes from our town, and our towns are rivals with them. And he said he's never been beaten before. So I was like, okay, I'm ready for that challenge. I get there. I'm the first person to ever beat Stephen Davis in a race.
Wow. Now, he ran for somebody else?
He ran for Spartanburg.
Spartanburg.
Yes, high school.
Okay.
I beat him at regionals.
Wow.
And it was front page. My family, my father, my mother, the joy they had on their face.
Wow.
I see it right now.
Yep.
And it's undescribable, you know. And so I'm like, okay. And then so my sister and him get in the fuss at Upper State. And he ends up beating me in Upper State.
Okay.
So now it's really a feud, right? So my sister's like, my brother gonna beat you today, and they get to arguing out there. And so it really distracted me from what I had to do. And that's something I learned in life, that anger can be a distraction. Yep. You got to know how to harness the energy and focus and understand what you're doing at all times.
That ability to stay in the moment. Here's where I am.
Yes.
And you can only control you, not that other person or over there. You can't control them, just you.
And I'm glad I learned that at that race, but then I forgot it later on in life when we get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So from that, so he won upper state. Now we got state,
The big one.
the big one. The University of South Carolina State track.
So you're
meet.
in Columbia now. You're right there at the big school in the
Yes.
state.
First time going to state. He ended up. Everyone would tell you, you know, if you talk to him, he probably won't tell you. He jumped the gun.
And they didn't call him.
He didn't call him back. He jumped the gun. He ran 10.28. I ran 10.33. And this is me as a freshman in high school and him. Well, I was a freshman.
Ninth
really.
grade.
Ninth grade.
Did you have 7th, 8th, 9th for your middle school?
Yes.
That's what I did too when I went through middle school. 7, 8, 9, then 10, 11, 12 was high school. So you were actually in junior high running for the high school.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that makes us feel old, right?
Yeah, it does,
Things have
doesn't it?
changed. Wow. Okay. Reality check. So then, from that point on, he won the 100. I was so mad, but I learned stay in your lane, stay controlled, understand. You're going to run the 200 meters. I went over to the 200 meters. He didn't end up showing up. I ended up breaking the South Carolina record with 21:01
As a ninth grader.
as a ninth grader.
Man. So that's kind of when you... Let me go back to that coach. Because we're talking leadership here. And he obviously had an impact on your life to get you to stay. Because you were there for 2 weeks, get the 14 points, get the letter jacket, and be on the way. How did he make you feel that you wanted to be a part of that team going forward?
Coach McClary, I would never forget his name. He was a distant runner.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a coach of all events. And he was very honest. He was saying, I've never been fast. And I can't really show you how to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can do is show you how to work hard.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yes. He would come and get me out of class. He would sit down and talk to me. He was more than just a coach. He became a friend.
That is.
And anybody that you follow in life, they need to become a friend.
Yeah.
That's what I think becoming a leader is whoever you tell them to do something, don't tell them to do nothing that you won't do yourself.
Wouldn't be willing to do yourself. That you know, we see that all of the time. That you know, it's just that people instill in you, like in an employee engagement. It's your relationship with your immediate supervisor. You've got to have good relationships, bonding relationships, in order to be a good leader. I mean, that's just, it's crazy to me the way that he saw in you the skill level that you had physically to be something. And as we look at leaders in the business corporate world, they've got to have that same ability to look at people and see inside of them things that that person doesn't see in themselves. And that coach saw something in you that you didn't know about yourself.
Correct. And a great leader impact those around them.
Mm-hmm.
A user, you'll see people that was around them, not around them no more.
Manipulate them.
Yes.
Yep.
I like to meet someone, they say, hey, this is my friend from 20 years.
Yeah.
This is my friend from 30 years.
Yep.
If you meet someone, they don't have people that's been around them for them many years, that should tell you something about that person.
Tim, a couple of weeks ago, I had a friend of mine that he and I were best buddies. We hadn't seen each other since probably 1996, 97, so 25 years. We hadn't even seen each other. We'd text each other or talk on the phone once in a great while, maybe once a year. But we hadn't seen each other. And he was driving up 75, coming through town. We stopped, had lunch, spent some time talking, caught up. His wife had passed away since I had seen him. We had a great conversation. And he sent me a text, and he said, certain friends just leave off, just start where they left off. And I was like, wow, that is so true. It doesn't matter that there was 25 years in between. Here's where we were 25 years ago, and all we did was pick up with the same conversation, the same friendship 25 years later, like nothing happened.
And that's what that's the real bond that people should share. Yeah, I don't have to tell you I love you every single day for you to know I love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the day that I don't tell you I love you, you get upset. That's a disconnect.
Yeah, and that's more about the other person than you anyways.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot more about the other person than you. Now, we've kind of chatted about your high school, getting into running and your first successes. Compare that to your daughter and what she went through. What did you learn in your life in high school and shortly thereafter that you've been able to help your daughter get over in the same type of world in her high school years?
Wow, this is going to be ironic, right? So in high school, after that right there, I became the talk of the town. I started racing people in the streets.
Throwing down a challenge.
Throwing down a challenge and racing for money. I wanted the new Reeboks that came out. Shoes became name brand at one point, right?
Say that.
LA Gears, Troops,
you got
Reeboks, you know what I'm saying? So I was racing in the neighborhood and a car pulled out and I ran into it and I got hurt. So I ended up going from state champion to really rehabbing and really going through a really dark period in my life.
Mm.
So I stopped going to class. I really was what would you call? I had fell into a what they call mental health situation now.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter was going to Oak Hall, and she won the county 6th grade. First 6th grader to ever win county around here against the seniors.
Wow.
Because in Oak Hall, they all, it's a private school, so they all run against everyone, which is very hard because she was running against girls that got driving license.
And she's in 6th
grade. Right. So it put a lot of strain on her body, and she ended up having double stretch fracture and pulling her hamstring.
Mm.
She ended up running 1191 in 8th grade. Since then, she's had 3 surgeries.
Mm.
I mean, I take my hat off to Coach Holloway. He used to see me run because he used to train professional athletes who would be overseas. And we would sit down and eat, and I didn't even know the bond that we shared when we shared it. And I went over to him when she was getting ready to graduate because she was going through this place, the same place I went through, where her last race was in 8th grade.
Mm.
So I went over to Holloway, and I said, hey, I just told him my story, and he said, I've been watching your daughter if my son goes there, and I will give her a chance. And he gave her that chance. And
Coach Holloway is with who?
University of Florida.
Okay.
He's the head coach.
Sure that,
he's the head coach at University
of
Florida. I mean, and it shows why they gave him the long contract. He's a great man leader.
Yeah. Developing people.
Yes.
Not just athletes.
Yes. I called a lot of places. I called friends that I ran with that coached at different universities, and they didn't even, they was like, no.
Don't have a room for her. Don't have a spot. Don't have this.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, I'll pay for it. I just want her to walk on. And Coach Holloway said, listen, I'm going to give her that opportunity. And now she's running and ran her first track meet.
Wow.
In 6 years. Last week, 2 weeks ago, at Florida Relays. Now she's going to run again this Saturday, which is helped her and built a bond, and it was impactful. Mm. And that's what I'm trying to instill in her life, because as you may not know, I made some mistakes in life.
We'll touch on those.
Yes, sir.
So, what is your daughter's name?
Tamaya Montgomery.
Tamaya Montgomery. That's a name that we want to look for, right?
Yes.
Start looking for that with the Gators track team, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. I like that. Tell me about how you have similar paths. How did you get involved in the Olympics, and when did you really realize, Tim, that you were like elite, world elite, not Gaffney, South Carolina, or state of South Carolina elite? You were world elite. What was that process like?
So I was sitting there going through this rut, and after being so successful, and I was out there, and a guy on the street corner killed a man in front of me. I ran home, and I had all these offers, and I called Clemson University, and they asked me, have you taken the SAT? I said, what's that?
Yeah.
And they said, it's a test that you need to take to come to the University to go Division I. And so I said, no. He said, okay, there's one in 2 weeks. I'm like, prom is in 2 weeks. I went out to prom, stayed out, walked in that test, and failed the last chance I had. Mm. He called me, and he said, listen, there's a school out in Texas, Blinn High School, the same school Cam went to after he left Florida.
Left Florida.
Yes.
Yep.
I went to Blinn Junior College.
Yep.
I got there, and the coach, Steve Silver, good leader, tucked me in. He said, you're too small. It's too small to run 100 meters. You're going to run the 400. I said, Coach. He said, he ran 10.33 high school. Guys are running 10.1, 10.08. The last guy that won the championship, Daniel Effion, he ran 9.99. If you run 10.3 and you got some strength, and you small, so it don't look like you got any power. And I got guys right now that is beating you. So I went to practice, and he put me in the 400 workouts. I didn't finish not one. So if you don't finish the workout, you wake up at 4 a.m. and you finish it the next morning.
Oh.
Where you left off.
Yep.
I woke up every morning to finish the 400-meter workout. So I called my dad, and I said, hey, I'm quitting. He said, no, you're not. He said, if you come back here, you would not step a foot in this house. I would not open the door for you to come back.
Wow.
He said, at least get into a race and try. So he ended up calling the track coach, and the track coach come out to practice and said, listen, this is college. This is not high school. Your daddy calling me does nothing for you. He said, but what I'm going to do is we go to Arkansas. I'm going to put you in the 100 meters. I'm going to let you embarrass yourself and put you in the 100 meters. He put me in the 100 meters, and I ran 10:21, the fastest time in collegiate opening up.
Wow. What did he say?
He said, well, I guess you are a 100-meter runner.
Great things come in small packages.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So that was your start. You ran there for 2 years?
Yes, sir. But while I was there, the fourth track meet was college championships. I beat Daniel Effion at 19 years old. I ran 9.96. I broke the world junior record.
Wow.
9.96.
What was the world record at that time?
The world junior record was 10.08. Andre Kaysen. The world record was 9.86. Carl Lewis.
Okay. Oh, Carl Lewis. There's a name from the past.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So
amazing.
So I ran 9.96 at 19 years old. Became the fastest under 20 to ever run the 100 meters.
Does that still stand?
No, it got broken.
That got broken. All right. Amazing. we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into a different part of your life.
Okay.
We've spent the first half hour here getting people to almost to the 96 Olympics. And maybe we can start with the 96 Olympics and then talk about things that have gone on in your life after that when we come back from this break. You're listening to MotivationU the Podcast, coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here at Celebration Point inside the Coach's Podcast Room. I'm Bob Ganzak. He's Tim Montgomery. We'll be back with you in a moment.
We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue,
then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Looking for more reasons to celebrate? We have them here at Celebration Point. Enjoy some of the newest additions to our already celebratory lineup, like Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, and Prime and Pearl. There's always a reason to celebrate. Join us anytime for any occasion. Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate.
Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to MotivationU the Podcast. My name is Bob Ganzak. This is Tim Montgomery, world-class athlete, awesome human being, becoming a fast friend, I think. I'm enjoying this conversation. This guy laughs so easily. I mean, you talk about, being warm around individuals. Tim, you just got an infectious attitude and personality. I love our conversations. Really great. Great. So when we left off, we were kind of running in college. Let's jump forward, take that long jump to the 96 Olympics. How did you get there, and what was the preparation for that?
So after running 996, becoming the world junior record holder, that was in 1994.
Okay.
Title IX cut the program at Glenn Junior College for track. I ended up going to Norfolk State. Coming from Texas Junior College to a HBU school is a very big change. And being the man on campus is even a bigger change. So my talent, my level of training and my level of focus is the key word, diminish a little bit. And also I was resentful because of the program getting cut and my coach he took the job at Arkansas. And when you have a leader and you lose that leader, I have learned to become a leader myself. Mm-hmm. You don't just let the person lead you. You take what he's showing you. You take his leaderships and you instill it in you, and you become a leader yourself. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that. I was a follower of leaders. Now I met a lot of leaders that have helped me become a better leader myself. So I went to 96 Olympics, came around and was like, it's in Atlanta. Gaffney, South Carolina is only 2.5 hours away from Atlanta.
It's almost like your hometown.
Yes. And everyone was betting on me being in the Olympic Games, except for myself.
You didn't see yourself there.
I did not see myself there. I ended up going to trials. I ended up making it to the finals, where I took 7th place. They take the top 6 to the Olympic Games. Mm. They made an exception and said, we have a relay count. When they had relay count, when everybody was going 50%, I was going 100%. Mm. The coach said, well, listen, you look amazing. We're taking you to 96 Olympics with us.
Wow.
Then Mike Marsh was going to run the 100 and 200, and he said, hey, I'm too sore to run on the relay. They said, Tim, you know how to run the curve? I was like, yes, I do, but I really don't. It was my first time.
But that was the right answer.
Hey, listen, I'm a 100-meter man. I don't run the 200, right? Yeah. Even though I did good in high school, I don't run the curve because I'm a straight up and down runner. When he said, can you run the third leg? I said, you better believe it. So I got on the third leg for 2 rounds, round 1 and round 2. We ran faster than with me on the team than they ran in the finals. As I was sitting underneath that tunnel, I cried. To go out there and run 2 rounds and get pulled from the finals to let Mike Marsh run, I told myself, I'm going to become the world record holder, and you will be asking me to run on the relay.
Yep.
And from that day forth, I dedicated myself to becoming the best in the world. We ended up taking the silver medal, which I have, because I participated in 2 rounds to get them to the finals.
Did you get to stand on the podium? Or?
No.
So they just gave you, only the guys that ran in the finals stood on the podium, but they still gave you a medal.
Because without my...
I'll call it post-mortem.
And I've been dealing with it mentally all my life.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say, you have a silver medal?
Let me stop you there. Those guys didn't stand on the podium. They stood on your shoulders. You supported them. You got them there. So if you look at it from a different standpoint, when they're standing there on a silver medal, they're standing on your shoulders. You're the ones that are holding them up. So don't ever let that go by in any other way. They don't get to that point without you. So stop there.
Hey, you know what? In 47 years, you're going to help me get past something today.
Okay.
That thought has stood in my mind for since that day. I'm 47 years old now, but it's been there since 1996. And I want to thank you today for sharing it with me.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I said I would die not to be the best in the world.
When did that happen?
I ended up breaking the world record in 2002. 2006.
So what was that from the summer of 1996 to 2002 when you broke the record? What was the dedication, the discipline, the tenacity that you found or developed to get to that world record spot?
Putting training above anything in the world. Mm-hmm. If it didn't involve me training or going to the death or me crying, couldn't walk, couldn't stand, putting things in my body that I didn't even know what was going in my body. Mm. Someone was like, the things that you put in your body, your kidneys, your liver, I said, I don't care. If it's going to make me the fastest person in the world,
I'll do it.
I do it. And that is not the mindset to have.
And that's where the downfall started.
Yes.
Okay. What year was that? So you were the fastest human on the earth. 100 meters, boom. The only name at the top of the list was Tim Montgomery.
Yes.
What was that speed?
978.
978. Wow. Man, that's fast. And what happened? What was the injection or ingestion that started unraveling some things?
So I met Victor Conti. He had a lot of athletes. He had most of the athletes.
Victor Conti was a agent? Or?
No, he invented ZMA. He was kind of like a chemist.
Okay.
So, and he was like, we got something called the clear. So if I go to GNC and I say, hey, I can take creatine, I can take this, and I can take B12, I could take glutamine, I could take protein. It's all legal because it's not on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's saying he had invented something that's not on the board. Even though, in the back of my mind,
don't do it.
Don't do it. Just because he said it's not detectable and he invented it, I thought I had the newest thing out.
And he called it clear.
He called it the clear.
Because you felt you were clear.
And I was around great athletes, other athletes.
Were other people taking that?
Yeah, they got Barry Bonds. They got a lot of athletes. They got Marion Jones. They got a lot of athletes that was around. So I was like, okay, if they're all doing it and they're great, I have to do it to become great. Because I felt like I was doing everything else that I could do, which wasn't true. You could always do something better.
Work a little harder, train a little harder.
Yes.
Mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what I've learned now, that I have a gym now, a facility called Numa Speed. It stands for Never Underestimate My Ability. I underestimated my ability. My ability is greater than what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts with leadership, right? During that time, I didn't have great leaders because all the people that was telling me and leading me, I followed the wrong people.
Mm-hmm. What year did you start taking the clear?
2001.
Okay, and so your fastest time was in 2002.
But me and Victor Conti departed each other in September 2001. So from September 2001 to 2002, I had no dealings with Victor Conti.
And you weren't taking anything?
I wasn't taking anything, and I broke the world record.
Oh, wow. And then what was it that they detected?
They didn't detect anything. Victor Conti just said that I was part of his program in 2001, and I was suspended.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was the first athlete to be suspended without being detected from just hearsay. But I done it. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that.
No.
But it hurt me because, if you caught, right? And some people get off because somebody didn't cross the I's and dot the T's, And I felt like I should have got off.
Let me try something different here for just a second. Mom and Dad still alive at this time?
Yes, sir.
When you were in 2001?
Yes, sir.
What'd your dad say to you when you got suspended?
That's one of the hardest feelings, and it's very emotional right now, even when I think about it. Because when I first told you about the first time I was on the newspaper, they were so proud. I went to the Olympic Games. They went inside the grocery store. Your son is the greatest son ever. How do you feel? And then to go in the grocery store and say, oh, I told you that boy wasn't going to never be nothing. When you do something, it don't only affect you, it affect those behind you.
Ripple in the water. Just keeps going.
So my dad said, why? And I told him, I thought that everyone was doing it. And he's like, why didn't you come talk to me? And I said, I didn't see you as a track runner. I didn't see you as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
But he's one of the greatest leaders I had that I overlooked. Because he never talked about Vietnam until recently.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was memories that he didn't want to share. He was wounded. He was shot. He told me the stories. But as kids, we see our parents as just parents, what they know about this, what they know about that. But they absolutely don't know more than what you give them credit for.
Yeah, think about it, Tim. If your son or your daughter decided to become an engineer, they'd still come to you for advice, even though you're not an engineer. You ran track. Now they actually, both of them run track, so I'm sure they look for advice from their dad. Yet that was the situation you were in. Your dad was in a completely different field. He wasn't running track, so your mentality went to the fact, my dad doesn't know anything about track. Why should I go talk to him? Yet what we learn later in lives, our dads and moms are catch-alls for all problems, for all challenges and all questions. Even though they might not be a specialist in that area, nobody knows our children. Nobody knows us like our parents know us.
And when I think about it now, that's crazy.
Yep.
Sitting here talking to you has cleared a lot of things mentally that I was dealing with. The reason I probably didn't go to him and share it with him, because I was afraid they'd talk me out of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That may be one of the biggest problems we have, sharing with people that going to give us the answers that we should get.
Yeah. We don't want enablers in our world. Although when we walk into the situation, we want somebody to help us get us where it's in our mind. We don't want to hear, hey, Timmy, that's not a good path to go down. You've got too much talent. You don't need that stuff. Maybe if you would have heard that, at age what, that would have been like 26, you were like,
yes, 26.
Yeah. Maybe if you would have heard that, your path in life would have been totally different. You think about that. It's just, hey, you know what? We all make mistakes. Some of our mistakes get caught by CNN, and some of our mistakes don't get caught. They're only caught by us. They hurt just as much.
And if I had not made that mistake, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
No.
I wouldn't be in Gainesville.
Yeah. Just think about that. Your life would have been totally different, and you might not have the children you have. You might not have the friends that you have. You might not have the passion to help others that you have. Our path goes in a lot of different directions. So when you got suspended, what happened there?
So when I got suspended, it was like, okay, you don't have a positive test, because in track and field, any sport, you got to have an A sample and a B sample.
Okay.
Even when the A sample comes up positive, they have to test the B sample, and sometimes the B sample comes up negative. So you're free, right? Since I didn't have no sample at all, and my word against Victor Conte's word, but it was bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was shelling out money. I mean, money. I'm talking about like money to lawyers, because they said there's no way you'll lose. You can go back and sue, and all they was wanting was money. They had me believing that I could go back. You can go back. Yes, go back. Yes,
gotcha.
Yes. So as I was running out of money, I should have sold some of the cars. I should have sold some of the jewelry. I should have downsized the house. I gave money to a friend, or got involved inside a check scheme, got inside a drug scheme. And what I thought was a friend got in trouble and told on me, and I went to prison for 4 years and 6 months.
For dealing heroin, is that what it was?
And checks. Yeah, trying to make money to pay attorneys to win a case. So one wrong decision turned to another wrong decision.
Were you ever a user of the product?
No, sir.
So you were around it. You just never. It wasn't what you're.
That's never been my thing.
You were in a. It was a financial.
Yes, indeed. I was trying to
a
make
business
money.
Opportunity is what you looked at it as.
And that's why now I surround myself with people that's on the same mind as I am, right? In my career, I wanted to break a world record. I wanted to save the world record by making more money. I ain't know how to put money inside a stock and bring back money. It would have took too long. I needed the money right now. Mm-hmm. And from the world that I left as a kid, that was the fast way to make money.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And the wrong way to make money. Mm-hmm. So now, as I'm out now, learned my lesson, understand what life really means, and understand that the God-given talent that God has possessed me with and the lessons that I've learned is to try to share them. And I just thank people like you for forgiveness, and people, the parents that bring their kids to me for forgiveness. And the gym or the facility, people come in and they ask for the best.
Yeah.
We ask for the best.
Yes, we want it.
They say they want it until it's time to go down and see what the best it takes to be the best.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's like Mike Tyson said, everybody want to fight till they feel the first hit.
The fight doesn't start until the first hit.
Right.
Up until that point, you're dancing.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, like, it's, when did you get out of prison?
2012.
2012. So what has life been like in the last 10 years? What have you done to change your path? What are you doing now to impact other people?
Well, as soon as I came home, I tried to rebuild a relationship with my kids. Mm-hmm. During the time I built a relationship with my kids, I started training my kids. I started training their friends. I started coming up with Numa Speed, never underestimate my ability.
I love that name, by the way, Numa.
If I took in Hebrew, it means breath. It means life. Mm-hmm. Coming home was like a new life.
Wow.
Looking back on my experience, it was like becoming a new me. Now, I look back and my daughters, my sons, Josh Gordon, Percy Harvin, Freddie Swain, Dearness Johnson, Brandon Powell, Duke Dawson. The list goes on with athletes I work with. Mm. It's giving back or shelling back with an understanding, and also being here to talk.
Yeah.
I've been there where they've been. You know, I wanted to take my life. I was so mentally out of it that thank God I fought to stay alive.
You know, Tim, I'm going to tell you, I've sat across, talked with, in my years on this earth, a lot of people, and met a lot of people. My favorite from the whole time was the time back in the early 90s I got to spend with Muhammad Ali. And I'm not comparing you to Muhammad Ali by any chance.
But I am pretty.
But I tell you, I look across in your eyes, and there's nothing but care and truth in your eyes. And I can imagine a guy like Josh Gordon or any player that had a challenge in their life, there's not a better person to sit across from and look into their eyes than you, because you went through it, came out of it, and is now helping other people elevate above it. And I appreciate that about you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate that about you. So Usain Bolt broke your record.
Usain Bolt broke the record.
Have you met him, or?
No, I have not met Usain Bolt.
Now, did they take the record away from you?
Yes, they did. They took the record away from me.
Even though you didn't have any drugs in your system when you ran that?
That's all they wanted. Day one and day
There's
one.
the suspension, boom, take it away.
Take it away. Everything above that, take it away. Everything since 2001, above that, take it away. Everything below that, you can have.
Yeah. You know, if I'm not you, of course, but you know, it would be cool to meet Usain and just have a conversation one time with him. Wouldn't it, just to sit down and talk and just share thoughts about what it was like to get to that point? Because it doesn't matter how. You were the fastest man on the earth for a period of time, right?
Yes.
And then he took it over. Now, when you did it, there was no social media. You know, there was you didn't have. You had to spend a lot of money to brand yourself back then. You know, you had to hire somebody, and if you had if it was Reebok or Nike or Adidas or whoever it was, you know, you had to pay them money to promote you, kind of thing. Nowadays, you can go out and make yourself your own brand on social media.
I've seen people become famous. I don't even know how they became famous. I mean, 1 million likes, this, and I'm like, whoa.
Are you on any of that?
I am. We got Numa Speed Elite, you know, and it's still like, who's Tim Montgomery?
Yeah.
Because we wasn't around back then, you know,
Yeah.
when social media and YouTube and
Yeah.
everything was coming out, and you can use your phone and become.
Do you want that? Do you want Tim Montgomery to be a staple, a brand name in America in the 2020s?
I want my story to help others.
Okay.
You can take me out the picture.
Have you written a book yet?
No. We have one. Kevin Hart has green lighted to do a documentary or a series on my story.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping to start filming pretty soon.
Is he going to play you, or?
I doubt he can play me. I don't think he's fast enough to play me.
Do you know him very well?
Yes, I flew out there and we sat down, and he said he's very intrigued over the story. He liked the way the rise, the fall, and what I'm doing right now. So I look forward to that taking place. It's just a waiting game now.
So next time you're with him, tell him about this conversation and tell him what you said. I don't think he's fast enough to play me.
Oh, yes, he's going to try to race me, but I'm waiting for that.
You know, I remember another part of my life at the University of Detroit many, many years ago. We had a baseball player that played for the Tigers at the time, Ron LaFleur, who came out of Jackson State Prison to the Tigers. They made a movie about him. LeVar Burton played Ron LaFleur. And I remember Ron had the same attitude. He said, because Ron was like built like this. And I helped Ron through his rehab. Our trainer, I played baseball there. Our trainer asked me to work with him, so I was his push-him partner. You know, I'm going to push you to the limits to get that knee rehabbed. And we became very good friends. He's always telling me, he goes, that dude can't play me. You know? He can't hit a lick. You know? So it's awesome. I've enjoyed this hour. My goodness, I can't believe that we're rolling through the hour. Tell people how they can get a hold of you. Tell people, what they can expect when they do get a hold of you. Sell yourself here for a little bit too.
As an athlete, that's where I run into the trouble. I wanted to avoid people. Because every time I went away, you want to race, you want to do this, you want to do that. Instead of just saying, how you doing, Tim Montgomery? I like you.
Yeah.
I like your style. Now, I'm promoting myself. You can find us at numaspeed.com, at Numaspeed Elite on Instagram. We got a facility across the street from Oak Hall High School. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you 100% of me.
That's great.
I don't know how to give you water anything down. I cannot sit here, because that's what happened to me in life. I had leaders that pushed me and I became great, and then I had leaders that babied me, and that's why I failed. So if you're looking to be babied, I'm sorry, I'm not the facility for you. Numa Speed is not for you. But if you're looking to be pushed, and you're looking to be loved on, not just financially loved on, but actually somebody that's going to care for you and understand what you're going through, ask you about your day, and modify what you need to get past that day to fight on to another day, Numa Speed's the place for you.
So Numa, Numa, speed.com.
Yes.
And they can find you there. Search that on Instagram and every other place.
And I'm gonna give 7 a week free.
Awesome.
Come
awesome.
out, you got a week free. I want you to, what they say, drink the Kool-Aid. Get hooked.
Is Josh Gordon going to make it back? Think somebody's going to give him another opportunity?
I think I pray for Josh every time I stop my car at the stoplight. Some demons requires prayer and fasting. And it's going to require not just me as a leader, but us all as a leader.
Yeah, he's an incredible specimen, but we need to forget. I think we learned a big lesson when Dwayne Haskins lost his life this past weekend, that we look at too many athletes as assets, and we forget that they're humans, that they're people, that they're sons and fathers and brothers, sisters, moms, dads, and we can never forget that. And no matter what your job is, if you make $9.5 million a year writing articles and telling stories for the biggest sports venture in the world, it doesn't give you the right to ever discount what a human is. And I think we've done that to Josh Gordon. I think too many headlines say drugs, Josh failed again, did this. That's a man, That's a human being.
And he was born a crack baby.
Yeah.
He was born.
So he had it in him.
At
the beginning, because mom was that way.
And people don't understand
his
that.
opportunity was never given to him. But I'd love to talk to that young man. He's to me, I've always cheered for him. And when he got close to being around Tom Brady, I thought maybe there's an opportunity here, that Tom's work ethic could, it just didn't happen that way. I hope he gets another opportunity.
Yes.
But hey, thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I mean, you helped me in this hour.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I would never forget it.
Okay. You're just an awesome guy. I hope we get to connect again in the future and spend some time together. I really would like that. I really would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. This has been an incredible hour with Mr. Tim Montgomery. What a story. This man needs to have a book, a movie made about him. I hope, Kevin Hart, you're probably not watching right now, but if you are, get together with this guy. And got some Dale Carnegie classes coming up. We love being with you. Please go to jacksonville.dalecarnegie.com. Join us in the classroom and spend some time with us. From Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, inside the Coach's Podcast Room, one of my favorite places. This is MotivationU the Podcast.